Speaking of top visualization films, who would have popped up in your mind? 300, Batman vs Superman, Dawn of the Dead, Man of Steel, Legends of the Guardians, Sucker Punch, Watchmen, Army of the Dead. All of these masterpieces are being brought to the theaters by the one and only Zachary Edward Snyder, also known as Zack Snyder. Director Zack Snyder produces polarizing films. His highly aggressive visual style can be marvelous or overwhelming. His work is very fascinating because he controls so much the way things look. Zack Snyder is a visual craftsman who values visuals above all else and works at the top of his game. He also has the rich stuff he's chosen for others from death. Today, I'll be talking about a film which breaks records such as over 1.1 million viewers on Crave Channel in Canada, 954,000 streams in the first week in UK, over 2.2 million viewers watched the whole film from 18th March to 25th of March in America. Yes, that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League, often referred to as the Snyder Cut, is the 2021 direct cut of the 2017 American superhero film Justice League. It presents Justice League, the fifth film of the DCEU, and the sequel to Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, as director Zack Snyder intended it before he left the production. Like the theatrical release, Zack Snyder's Justice League follows DC Comics' Justice League, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Aquaman, and The Flash, as they attempt to save the world from the catastrophic threat of Darkseid, Steppenwolf, and their army of parademons. So, besides of storytelling, what makes the film of Zack Snyder's Justice League so special and trustworthy from the fans in his version is Zack Snyder's style of visual and filming. Therefore, let's jump straight into it. Zack Snyder's style of filming in one of his best movies ever. I think any review of the work of the Snyder must first focus on his film, a unique Hollywood style and which, in my opinion, fits perfectly into the genre of superheroes and fantasies, characterized by its unique use of slow movement and speed ramming. A 35mm lens that almost unrealistically tightens the lines every shot and it's dark and high contrast. Snyder feels as epic and dramatic as possible for his films. The character dominates each of the screen and its pixel. He made some of his comic book films, 300, Watchmen, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Each frame, or the whole movie in fact, is pelted right away from the comic book strips. A fun fact, one of the scenes in BVS where Batman was running away from Doomsday, this scene was perfectly taken out from Frank Miller's comic book, The Dark Knight Returns. So, let's get back to the topic. Zack Snyder is especially attractive in his use of slow motion cinematics, highlighting the moment and the scene's gravity. Some people may wonder why it is important to have a snapshot of a falling, smiley facial pin with a drop of blood, or why you need a 90-second shot of Aquaman. Of course, in an era of flat-looking superhero films which do not have deeper themes otherwise, they are visually impressive, but symbolism is as much as a part of a movie as layered motifs and quotes. In an interview with IndieWire, the film director Fabian Wagner of the Zack Snyder Justice League spoke about the use of slow motion in the film and how Snyder uses it. Snyder's team knows the cinematographer's love of the many slow motion sequences, and Fabian confirms he and the group must be prepared for the experience whilst chuckling over. Zack Snyder's work in nearly every movie he made is known for his slow motion work, and the same thing can be said about the Zack Snyder Justice League. Over 10% of the 4-hour 2-minute film running time was slow movement, which resulted in lots of mixed feelings among the fan base. Although Snyder loves this in his films, it's clear that he and his team felt that the story of the Justice League should be told as he wanted to. Much of the films was shown in scenes with Ezra Miller's aka The Flash for extra effects, but it added a lot of dramatic tension to some of the film's high intensity. So, let's have a look at one of my favorite slow motion scenes portrayed by Zack Snyder. Here's a scene in the final battle of the Justice League fighting against Stephanos, where the Flash tries to run as fast to enter the Speed Force to rewind what had happened after a massive explosion hits them. In this scene, where you can see clearly every step the Flash made is making up coming back to life slowly. The use of slow motion in this scene was done perfectly, where you could actually see every single small detail, and it could also let everyone connect into the movie. Here's another scene in Zack Snyder Justice League, where the Flash yet again trying to run with his fast speed to assist Wonder Woman. What I learned from Zack Snyder's style of filming is that in every scene he captured, you could just screenshot any scene to let it become your phone or computer-bound wallpaper. Zack Snyder's cinematography was on another level. I really love how he shoots most of the scenes among the movie. Most of the scenes he shoots, the angles, the lighting, everything was top-notch, and it makes you connect with the scenes and characters' emotion. Most of his films are very visually appealing, and these scenes often stick to my mind because of how memorable and visually interesting it looked. He could literally make you remember some of the scenes where it might not be the most memorable one, but you would still remember it just because of Zack Snyder's wonderful visual styles. From my observation, I realized that Zack loved to capture some of the scenes behind the back and of course showing the character in full body, and the balanced range and distance the characters and the frames. So these are some of the scenes where you really feel that Zack Snyder's visuals was a piece of art. Here, as I mentioned, Zack loves shooting behind the back scenes for his movie. Here is a scene where Aquaman just saved a fisherman from danger, and now he's getting ready to go back into the ocean. Furthermore, here's another beautiful scene being captured by Zack Snyder using the same technique. Here's another scene in the Snyder Cut where Superman comes back to life and fly out of space to get closer to the sun to increase his healing effect. Except scenes in the Snyder Cut, there are still other beautiful scenes where you will really agree that Zack Snyder is a master of visual aesthetics, where no other director will come close to him in camera angles and various tricks. So here's a few scenes in Batman vs Superman. 300. Man of Steel. After watching all of these amazing shots from Snyder, you cannot deny the fact that he is an awesome visual storyteller. Some of his films could even function without a dialogue or script, as poor cinema. Finally, Snyder uses an exhibition often for his movies with the montage. This montage is not always at the beginning, but it happens in the first few scenes to fill in the audience and provide background information necessarily for the following scenes to be understood. Snyder sometimes likes to use the opening credits to do so. The assembly itself is usually a block of clips without the real dialogue that can be connected or tightly joined together to show a time span. Snyder can use this element to make his film more like comical books for live action. Before I talk about these masterpiece work from Snyder in terms of his intro in the Snyder Cut, let's have a look in his title sequence in his other movies. This intro was from BVS, aka Batman vs Superman. It shows Batman's story before this movie starts. Here comes Army of the Dead opening title. This opening title sequence in particular really is a sight to behold. Zack Snyder's most recent movie, Army of the Dead, not only features one of the best sequences of his work, but also possibly of all the times. Seriously enough, the 5-minute sequence set for Viva Las Vegas by Richard Cheese could be honestly looked at all by himself. Snyder takes all stops and reverts back to his music video roots for a visual show of the cinema, following a short introduction on how Las Vegas has been flooded with the hundreds of thousands of walking bodies. From the action being in sync with the music to the emotional thread of the movie's mercenaries and their respective past, to Zack Snyder's brilliant use of slow motion, you can't help but get excited to see what comes next. An opening credit is what Zack Snyder loves to present in his movies because it could let you know what is exactly the whole movie is about before we jumped into it. Zack Snyder Justice League released in 2021, which is about 4 hours long, starts with one of the visionary director's most visually striking and darkest opening sequence. As with Dawn of Justice credit, the director cutting the Justice League with Superman's death, and how his passing has an adverse effect on his allies, not only the whole world and universe, set the movie with the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne. The opening sequence of almost 9 minutes introduces all major actors to the audience before Bruce Wayne began his search to form the Justice League. Visually striking and emotional, the opening sequence of the Zack Snyder Justice League takes on the director's pacing and visual storytelling skills and truly turns him up, in particular because he has no leash to keep him in check. In this intro, we could know many kinds of things happening, such as the loss of Superman, the awakening of mother boxes, the fear of how Apocalypse will return, the determination of Batman to find other heroes to form Justice League. This title sequence is certainly one of the world's best superhero films and astonishing in every respect. Despite how much love and admire that I put on Zack Snyder, there are still some people who are not really impressed with his work. But honestly, I gotta say, he's one of the most underrated and overhated directors in the world. Zack Snyder deserves respect and credit for what he did. His visuals, arts, cinematography, and action sequence in his movie was truly fantastic. No one would ever get near towards this level. In the end, Zack Snyder Justice League was a true masterpiece and emotional superhero, but it is surely a different movie comparing to the theoretical version in 2017. The Snyder Cut was one of the best superhero movies I ever watched, and all of you, please do watch it.